Welcome back. I trust you have enjoyed the lunch and the company of your fellow participants. We resume with our third panel, Infrastructure and Transport Connectivity, Developing Connectivity and Logistics. This session will be moderated by Mrs. Sibel Düz of the SETA Foundation. She will be joined by Mrs. Hazarcan Elbir of AVIM, Mr. Shukrat Askorovich Tuthabayev, Chief Specialist of the Global South Department at the Center for Foreign Policy, Research and International Initiatives, Mrs. Zuhra Halimova, Senior Advisor at CAPS Unlock, and Mr. Kadir Temiz of Orsam. Mrs. Düz, please join. Let's restart. Good afternoon, everyone. Today's discussion will focus on infrastructure and transport connectivity. We will explore the key challenges, opportunities, and policy implications surrounding this issue. We have a distinguished group of speakers with us. It's a great pleasure to welcome Ms. Hazarcan Elbir, Mr. Shukrat Tutabayev, Ms. Zuhra Halimova, Mr. Kadir Temiz. Thank you for all being here. And each speaker will have 10 minutes. Then we will open the floor for audience questions. Before we start, from previous panel, we have some connection problems. That's why I would like to give the floor first to Mr. Kakatja Bardiev. He is the co-founder and MP of Maslahatçılar. Mr. Bardiev. Okay. Then shall we start? Okay. Let me begin with Ms. Hazarcan Elbir. She is an analyst at the Center for Eurasian Studies in Ankara. She is currently a PhD candidate in political economy at Atılım University. Her research area includes the European Union, Turkiye-US relations, the Caucasus, propaganda studies, crimes against humanity, and terrorism. Ms. Elbir, from your perspective, how important is the South Caucasus for making Central Asia and Turkey connectivity operational and sustainable? The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear moderator, Sibel Hanım. Thank you. Distinguished panelists and esteemed participants, good afternoon. It's a great honor to address you today at the Central Asia Türkiye Forum on Infrastructure and Transport Connectivity. Türkiye Forum on As an analyst at the Center for Eurasian Studies, AVIM, I will focus on the strategic role of the Southern Caucasus as the indispensable bridge linking Turkey with Central Asia in the Middle Corridor. At the very outset, I wish to recall the guiding principle of our Republic's foreign policy, articulated by our great leader, Gazi Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, peace at home, peace in the world, yurtta sulh, cihanda sulh. This vision forms the very foundation of Turkey's approach to the South Caucasus for Turkey. The pursuit of peace and stability in the region is not merely a geopolitical preference, it's a fundamental national ideal inherited from Atatürk. Ladies and gentlemen, the Southern Caucasus, primarily Azerbaijan and Georgia, with Armenians' potential contribution, is the geopolitical and logistic linchpin of East-West connectivity. Without a stable, efficient Southern Caucasus, in the vision of seamless Turkey Central Asia integration cannot be fully realized. Turkey's long-lasting infrastructure efforts in connecting East and West are exemplified by key border gateways. One prominent example is the Gürbulak border gate with Iran, known as the Turkish Gate and named by Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. This vital crossing point constructed in the period of Atatürk in 1937 and modernized in 2003, continues to serve as a critical link between East and West, underscoring Turkey's historical ongoing role as a natural bridge in regional logistics and transport networks. Such strategic gateways complement the connectivity initiatives we are discussing today and highlight the importance of multifaceted infrastructure development across neighboring geographies. The Middle Corridor, in other words, Trans-Caspian International Transport Routes, has shown impressive growth. Cargo volumes have increased significantly with Baku-Tbilisi cars railway playing a central role. Azerbaijan's port of Alat is expanding rapidly, while Georgia serves as the vital Black Sea gateway for Turkey. This corridor positions us as both a destination market and a major logistics hub connecting Central Asia to Europe, the Mediterranean and beyond. Why is the Southern Caucasus significant in this context? First, it offers the shortest and most secure link, avoiding vulnerabilities of alternative routes. Second, it creates synergy between energy corridors and critical mineral transport. Third, the most importantly, geographical stability in the region directly reduces risks and unlocks enormous economic potential. In this context, I must highlight the historic importance of Central Asian Turkic republics for Turkey. Our founding leader, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, through his Turkish history thesis, emphasized Central Asia as one of the cradles of human civilization. This vision continues to guide Turkey's strong commitment to brotherly relations with the independent Turkic states of Central Asia today. Recent positive developments in the South Caucasus further strengthen these prospects. In the June 2026 parliamentary elections, Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan secured a clear victory with nearly 50% of the votes and a parliamentary majority. This result is widely interpreted as the Armenian people's choice for peace, reform, and regional integration rather than confrontation. It signals a continued Western-oriented opening and a pragmatic approach to normalization with Azerbaijan and Turkey. This development brings a new momentum to the Zengezur corridor, or in other words, Trip Corridor, a project of immense strategic value. As outlined in recent analysis, the corridor promises substantial gains in trade, transit, energy security, and mutual trust. When realized, it will dramatically shorten distances, integrate Nakhchivan more fully, and transform the South Caucasus into a true development corridor. The US facilitated Trump route for international peace and prosperity framework further internationalizes these efforts while respecting sovereignty. Challenges remain, however. Despite the positive momentum, several important obstacles still need to be addressed. These include infrastructure capacity, bottlenecks along key routes, the need for deeper digitalization and full harmonization of border procedures and customs relations, as well as securing adequate financing for large-scale projects. Additionally, the lingering effects of historical tensions continue to cast a shadow over the region and require continuous diplomatic attention. Nevertheless, the Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan's successful re-election and the growing regional commitment to cooperate, we now have a genuine historic window of opportunity. This is a moment that must be seized with determination and vision. In this context, I would like to offer several concrete recommendations. First of all, we should establish a joint Turkiye, Central Asia, Southern Caucasus logistics coordination mechanism, maybe under the umbrella of organization of Turkic states. Such a platform would enable regular consultation, better planning, and more effective implementation of connectivity projects. Second, we must prioritize green and smart infrastructure initiatives that incorporate modern technology, sustainable practices, and climate-friendly solutions. Thirdly, targeted investment funds should be created with the participation of Türkiye, Turkic states, or Turkestan, and international financial institutions such as many international organizations can involve here, and EU's global gateway program. Finally, we should actively support the full normalization process with Azerbaijan and Armenia, including the necessary constitutional steps in Armenia that will help lay the foundation for lasting and durable peace in the region. Ladies and gentlemen, by investing in the stability and infrastructure of the Southern Caucasus, we are not only building roads and railways together, we are constructing a more resilient, prosperous, and interconnected Eurasian future, a future based on shared interests, mutual trust, and common economic benefits. Turkey, through its historical role as a natural bridge between regions, stands ready to deepen the partnership with all regional actors for the benefit of our shared future. Thank you for your attention. Looking forward to the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you for those very insightful remarks, Ms. Elbir. Let me turn to Mr. Shukrat Tutabayev. He is a foreign policy analyst currently serving at the Global South Department within the Center for Foreign Policy Research and International Initiatives. He contributes to the development of analytical frameworks and strategic recommendations on Uzbekistan's interaction with developing nations. Mr. Tutabayev, considering your expertise, I would like to ask, how can Central Asia-Turkey transport cooperation be framed as part of a broader global South connectivity agenda? The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for organizer of this wonderful and useful conference, for giving me opportunity to share my point of view about this question. Dear colleagues, today the development of infrastructure and transport connectivity has become one of the most important condition, growth and regional integration. For the countries of Central Asia and Turkey, this issue is especially important because transport corridors help transform geographically proximity, historical ties, and cultural connection into real economic benefits. In today's world, transport connectivity is not only an economic issue, but also a strategic one. The growing tension in the Persian Gulf region, risks to shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, and the overall instability in the Middle East are forcing many countries to look for alternative and more reliable transport routes. In this context, the development of infrastructure and transport links between Central Asia and Turkey has become a key factor of ensuring economic stability, supply chain security, and the expansion of international trade. The global economy depends heavily on stable transportation routes. A significant share of the world's energy exports and container traffic passes through the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. Any disruption, we all see that any the disruption of this region leads to higher transport costs, increased insurance rates, and greater risk for business. For the countries of Central Asia, this challenge highlights the need to diversify export and transit routes. Turkey is becoming a key partner in this process because it provides an alternative gateway to European and global markets through its well-developed transport infrastructure. And one more point, as I know, in 9th of June in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, was signed Turkish-Saudi documents about creating railway road from Turkey through Syria, Jordan to Saudi Arabia. It means to Persian Gulf states all. It's very important. And it's very interesting for Uzbekistan, for all countries of Central Asia. Turkey is becoming a key partner to this process because, okay, sorry. Particular importance is attached to the Trans-Caspian International Road, also known as the Middle Corridor. Today, this road is not only as an economically attractive option, but also as an important tool for strengthening the resilience of international supply chains. The corridor connects Central Asia countries with Turkey through the Caspian Sea, Azerbaijan, and Georgia, allowing trade to bypass region affected by geopolitical tension. While the Middle Corridor was once seen as just one of the several transit options, it is now becoming a strategic road that provides reliable transportation between Asia and Europe. One of the most significant infrastructure projects is the Baku-Tbilisi-Kars Railway also. This railway is established a direct rail connection between Turkey and the Caspian region. Thanks to this road, goods from Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan can reach Turkish markets and Europe more quickly. Given the instability in the Middle East, the importance of this railway has increased significantly because it offers an additional level of transport security. Investment in the development of Caspian Sea infrastructure also play a vital role, including Kiruk Port, Aktau International Sea Trade Port, Baku International Sea Trade Port. These facilities have become key links on Trans-Caspian logistics. Their modernization helps increase cargo volumes and reduce delivery times between Central Asia and Turkey. In this environment, Uzbekistan is carrying out large-scale modernization of its transport system and aims to become one of the major logistic hubs in Eurasia. Special attention is being given to international railway project including the China-Kyrgyzstan-Uzbekistan Railway. The implementation of this project will significantly increase cargo flows that can then be transported through the Caspian Sea and Turkey to European markets. The development of transport infrastructure provides several strategic advantages. First, it reduces dependence of individual transport roads and transit hubs. Second, it expands export opportunities for Central Asia countries, especially in metallurgy, agriculture, textiles, chemical production, and many others. Third, is strengthen Turkey's role as a major logistic hub connecting Asia and Europe. Fourth, it creates new opportunities for attracting foreign investment into transport, industrial, and energy infrastructure. The organization of Turkic states is also plays an important role in advancing transport integration. Today, the organization actively promotes initiatives aimed at creating a unified transport space, simplifying custom procedures, digitalizing freight transportation, and developing international logistic network. Given current geopolitical challenges, the priority areas of the cooperation between Central Asia and Turkey should include further development of the Middle Corridor, increasing the capacity of Caspian ports, creating modern logistic hubs, digitalizing transport processes, expanding multimodal transportation, coordinating infrastructure investment policy. Dear colleagues, recent development in the Persian Gulf clearly demonstrate the need for reliable and diversified transport routes. Under this condition, Central Asia and Turkey have a unique opportunity to strengthen the strategic partnership and build a sustainable transport and logistic network connecting East and West. The development of the Middle Corridor, modernization of Caspian infrastructure, expansion of railway connection, and deeper cooperation with the Organization of Turkic States can transform the region stretching from Central Asia to Turkey into one of the world's most important centers of trade and transit. That is why investments in infrastructure today are investments not only in economic growth, but also in stability, security, and the long-term development of the entire region. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Tutabayev. Let me bring Ms. Zuhra Halimova to the discussion. Are we ready? Ms. Halimova, can you hear us?
Hear me? Do you hear
Can you hear
me
us?
now? Yes, I do hear you. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can. Are we good?
Yes, we good.
Good. Ms. Zuhra Halimova is an expert in international development and inclusive growth. For 2 decades, she served as executive director of the Open Society Foundation in Tajikistan, where she led and supported national reform initiatives in the areas of human rights, rule of law, transparency, digital transformation, and business development. Welcome again, Ms. Zuhra Halimova. How can non-Caspian Central Asian countries be more effectively included in the Central Asia connectivity agenda? The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I think it's a great opportunity to really share some thoughts about what it is actually happening and what could be an important element that usually people tend to forget. We have to really look at this whole corridor as an opportunity for future, but it's also currently developing. We also know that many of the countries have been thinking about it long ago, and I think Trace Seca was 1993 May in Brussels as an idea, and now we are having some results coming. So the question is, do we have time, like 30 years more, to really move forward? We don't. Since the economies are moving fast, the developments are going in even faster. So the countries of the, this corridor basically have to be really looking at the opportunities, but also create opportunities for future connectivity of this country. Central Asia, as well as the Europe and others, are abundant to really become more connected within this whole system of unfortunate situations in the Middle East and Ukraine and Russia war. We see that we having the opportunity to develop a great ecosystem, which will be connecting east to west, as once upon a time Silk Road was connecting us. So what do we have now? First, we have to really understand connectivity has entered a new phase and goes beyond infrastructure. Infrastructure is not enough. The roads can be built by even railroads and any infrastructure by a country, but a corridor cannot be built by one country. The corridor must be inclusive of different countries and approach the interest of those countries and make these interests as priority for those countries, since each country has their own priority within and the governments are involved in solving the problems within. But in a way, a middle corridor has to become a part of the priority of all countries who would be benefiting from this, and definitely including themselves into creating better connectivity. So we have to really also understand that connectivity is now in new phase. It's beyond infrastructure. Railroads are not enough, or roads are not enough, even ports are not enough. Since we are talking about multiple countries connecting each other and actually moving cargos through, we have to really think about policies and documentation, internal instructions, and many other laws to be changed. Considering that all the countries are going through the digital transformation in our regions, we have to also think what would be the role of the digitalization. And of course, we all always think about, it will make it easier. Yes, it will make the easier communicate through the digital means. However, if countries would not have interoperable systems, it's going to be useless. If countries would not agree on data sharing principles and standards, it's going to be useless again. So there are so many other things manually have to be crafted, and we have to really understand. So we understand that success was measured before, even in 1921, by how many kilometers of roads have been built or how many ports have been built. Now we have to be really thinking about substantial progress which is done is not enough. What is actually enough for this decade? And we are thinking about decades to come. So, for example, transit between China and Europe and the middle corridor fallen dramatically. The transit time fallen dramatically from approximately to 38 to 53 days in 21 and around to 23 days currently. Cargo volumes are increasing. So, and we are thinking while we are all increasing, is the infrastructure existing now enough? Since we are going to increase even more, China is going to produce even more, and the corridors are going to be used anymore. So the corridor have to be constantly progressing in its volumes and technologies, as well as opportunities to be competitive with other corridors. And we have to be really thinking about this. So middle corridor has to really think about resilience and has to be really thinking about competitiveness, and also have to be really attractive to the other donors to come and invest. In this regard, we have to really think about business ecosystem, we have to really think about digital ecosystem, and we have to be really thinking about governance and transparency and visualization of those. So this, we have to really also be critical about what we already achieved, because again, is it enough for next 5 years to come? So future of connectivity is no longer about infrastructure alone. We are actually looking that infrastructure, of course, remain essential, but it's not sufficient anymore. The next generation of competitiveness will depend on logistic performance, supply chain reliability, digital integration, institutional effectiveness, and governance quality. So, can cargo move within the middle corridor? Of course it can. However, the question is, can cargo move quickly, predictably, securely, and sustainably? So if we have an ambition to become a middle corridor who would be actually observing these issues, that would be an opportunity to really think forward. The future belongs not only to transport corridor, but its logistics and logistical ecosystem. So we have to really think about, what is this, our new phase of doing stuff? How many people are going to be involved? And we also, have to really think about the prerequisites or ideas, what we were thinking before. For example, many of the researchers who were thinking before, they traditionally viewed the geography is destiny. It's not anymore. Landlocked countries were considered disadvantaged. Is not anymore. Mountain regions face structural constraints. It still is, but you have to invest in them. And distance from port will seen as permanent obstacle. Not anymore. So actually, corridor is actually giving that opportunity to understand how important it is. The question is how we are going to really move governance of all the system that would be effective, and it would be actually supporting the whole idea of corridor to be effective and the connectivity. Governance should be at the center of connectivity, and we have to be really understanding that we have to create many different institutions. The speaker before was talking about creating a platform. Is platform only is enough? It is important to create a platform, but how it's going to be institutionalized between all the countries who are involved in the middle corridor. Now we are going to have increasing participation in the Caucasus countries and, of course, all the rest of the Central Asian countries. So middle corridor definitely moved from concept, and it's actually much more of the reality now. However, again, as I mentioned about Raseka, do we have 30 years to move forward? And even the recent signing the agreement between the countries on May 15 still will need at least a year to start actually working. The question is, do we actually have time? So we have to really move faster and faster. So we have been talking about the capacities and standards, but even if we are going to AI-assisted custom management or digital development, etc., most of these countries have to relook at their laws, which they have been working on since the digital transformation started in these countries, that there should be some minimal standards on certain things, that it would be connecting each other, and the systems of the cross-border of each country, like, customs and, other institutions have to really become interoperable. So by the time the cargo reaches a border X, the customs of that country already have these materials in place, so they don't have to wait another few days and etc. So it's not only about having the system of roads, and it's not about if the roads are good enough. It's that the cargo usually losing time and lots of money while waiting for the decision of the country to let it go. So we have to really also think that the governments, the governments of the middle corridor, if I can use that word, they have to really think about what kind of laws they have to be changing. Is there any analysis? I think it's a question to the think tanks. Is there any analysis? What are the legal policies are to be changed in nearest future? And that would be a very important, especially with regards to digital transformation and logistics based on this. So we are looking at the large obstacles still existing, although there is a huge, I would say, step forward was done. Border procedures are still not compatible. Customs inefficiencies are still a problem. Regulation fragmentation, limited interoperability, and weak institutional coordination. So we have to really think about, are we actually building a corridor, or we still have a mentality of just building a road in our countries and then connect them over the countries? I think this is like, a combination of discussions we have to really do. Paper documents are going to be soon given up. We are going all go green, and we have this capacity of understanding of go green. However, we still have a problem with the electronic declaration, GPS cargo tracking, digital freight platform, single window customs systems. So many of countries already digitized their own system. However, do we actually have standards like shared data standards or electronic bill of lading, cross-border data exchange, AI-assisted custom management, interoperable digital platforms? Unfortunately, it's a future. The question is how far we can actually wait till these systems to be created. Resilience is a core objective. We are not talking now about we are creating a transport corridor. We have to really think about creating ecosystem around this corridor, so it would be inclusive of so many other details usually we would not think about. Even in like 5 years ago, when you would talk about the success of Middle Corridor, most of the reports would say how many kilometers of roads we were building. It's not enough anymore. We have to be really thinking about building ecosystem. An ecosystem will create the opportunities which will be actually looking at the issues of supply chain disruptions, which will be actually addressing the issues of climate change, especially now with Caspian becoming drier than it was before. We will be actually looking seriously about geopolitical uncertainty. And definitely, while going digitalized, we have to go to the cybersecurity threats. Central Asia is already experiencing water stress, not only Central Asia, but Caucasus as well. We are having rising temperatures, extreme weather events, glacier retreat, and etc. So we should actually include that into the agenda of Middle Corridor functionalization, that it's going to be affecting the future of Middle Corridor. And of course, we have to really think about who is going to fund this all and why the governance is becoming challenging.
Salimova, could you wrap up?
I'm actually wrapping up.
For interrupting. Could you wrap up?
Why most of the donors are actually investing into the ecosystems which are very reliant and resilient. And I think Middle Corridor has now a very good chance to come together and create a vision of the Middle Corridor ecosystem with very important elements, especially includes the digital development and digital use, as well as the connectivity and good institutionalized policies and laws, which will be helping the digital corridor in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Halimova. We will back to you at Q&A session. And today's last speaker is Mr. Kadir Temiz. He gives lectures on politics of East Asia, China in world politics, and Chinese foreign policy, and at Istanbul Medeniyet University. His research interests include modern Chinese history, Chinese foreign policy, the politics of East Asia, and Chinese relations with Middle Eastern countries. Mr. Temiz, to what extent do infrastructure corridors shape the regional power balances? Could you elaborate on this topic?
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, it's very timely question, because I remember the time that I was in undergraduate in 2000, the beginning of 2005 and 6. We were just, asking the same question: the roads, railways, how Turkey will connect to the East and the Middle East. And it created a kind of Turkey's, a new kind of diplomacy, opening to the, Middle East, opening to European Union. It was a kind of, first connectivity I remember in just after the, Cold War, and Turkey and other regional countries were looking for opportunity to be part of wider regional connectivity, and of course, for what reason? To reach markets and to gain some kind of prestige in Turkic world, in the Middle East, wherever it is. It was the first time I actually defined the Turkish foreign policy after the Cold War. It was the first attempt to revive the Turkish foreign policy from this positive agenda, and not, the origin was the conflict ridden, and from Daesh to radicalization and the sectarianism, etc. But it is a kind of a positive agenda. First time I think the Turkish Foreign Policy Fund, or make it available in policy circles. Now it's a bit of changing. I think I realize that these old roads, railways changing to what? To a new kind of connectivity, and we have to. I listen a lot of people here from Uzbek friends and others. They try to define the new connectivity and what kind of relations we are trying to build up in this new environment. And let's discuss it a little bit and find the new understanding maybe together. I am defining it the new a kind of the age of connectivity, yes, but it's not on the roads, railways. But today we are more discussing on, for example, resilience is a new concept nowadays. Along with connectivity, we found that is very alive, very dynamic concept, resilience. Okay, and maybe we can discuss the resilient connectivity, because connectivity is here. Okay, we are here, and probably you get the flight to reach to Istanbul, and tomorrow I can go to Beijing, and somebody can go to DC, and to digitalization, artificial intelligence, data, of course, the open sources, information, they all provide us a very flexible world. But I'm questioning it because its durability and stability is very critical question for me. How long we will continue to talk this from positive agenda, because there are some challenges as well, as previous speakers also told us. So why has connectivity become one of the most critical concept today, or topic? Because in my opinion, it's become a strategic tool. I mean, it's become a strategic, let me say, the concept linking the old economic, security, geopolitics, and regional order as well. Maybe you can discuss it. Was it not a kind of geopolitical concept in the 1990s or the beginning of 2000? Yes, it was, but not like today. Today we have very interesting, and I'm trying to, of course, elaborate what I understand from this connectivity, but it is the new language of power, I think. Okay, there are several meaning of power. Okay, military power, soft power, hard power, but this connectivity or the corridors are becoming a new language of power, in my opinion. I mean, interestingly, it is the returning of geography. And I mean, the geography, if you remember the first discussion about the globalization, just remember we were talking the end of even the nation states, and blurring of the borders. There was no even citizenship. With the European Union discussion, we are familiar with this discussion in Turkey. we will be part of the European Union and we were citizens of European Union, and there will not be meaningful, borders, etc. But at the end of the day, after 15 and maybe 20 years later, what we see, okay, geography back, and now borders are back, border security are back. Why? Okay, of course we can discuss the why they are matter again, because COVID-19. Yes, we can give an example of it, and another one, the Russia-Ukraine war, and not since 2022 but 2014. Yeah, he started to talk about the Ukraine war, and again the Arab uprisings, Arab Spring that began in 2009, 11, and Syrian civil war more than a decade, and even some connection or connectivity crisis. We see Red Sea, for example, or just one example in Iran war and the closing of Hormuz. And then, so what we look at to Hormuz and the Gulf and the other maritime choke points, for example, from Bab el Mandeb to Suez, actually. All we realize that the importance of this ways, these roads, and of course, along with the security. So we thought in the beginning what geography was disappearing, but instead the geography returned with force. That's the critical maybe difference from the 19th century. Actually, we are get used to live with this geographic and the conflict, the great bargain of 19th century between Great Britain and Russia. And now, of course, with the China's rising, what I say, and maybe we can discuss the Central Asia's new position in this debate. And China is rising, and maybe Russia, along maybe after the Ukraine war, felt maybe historical insecurity, in its close region, neighborhood. Okay, we have to talk them after Karabakh war, after, let me say, the Armenian election now, and very direct, threat to Iran, and the coming conflict. I'm not saying the hot conflict, but it's already a competition. Everybody knows about the U.S., China, and probably after Iran, and probably a kind of little settlement in Ukraine war, you will see very harsh U.S.-China competition going on. In that perspective, and actually Turkey and Central Asia, Central Asian countries should find a way to go hand in hand in this geostrategical or strategic, changing in our region. In my opinion, Central Asia is not a periphery or not a kind of, landlocked, geography anymore. Why? Because there's a connectivity. There is new China, and we can read the China as opportunity here, because all these middle corridors we are talking here is related to this, east-west, right? And east is producing and selling to the west, and then we are hub here. So we need two dynamics here, two variables, I mean. So it's becoming again, Central Asia is becoming again the Eurasian crossroads. Of course, there are some drivers and there are some factors pushing this East-West trade one. Another one, supply chain diversification, for example. How we need it. We realized the importance of it right after the Iran war. And again, the new issues and energy and critical minerals. So Central Asia is moving from a buffer zone to a connector zone. So we have to discuss this together to understand how it become a zone of connection and connecting not the people but the manufacturers and the countries, and the geography is not a limitation, and is landlocked, but it's not limitation anymore. Today it's becoming a great advantage. So we have to think this together. So what is Turkey's perspective here? Some of panelists also emphasized the importance of Turkey's perspective to the region, not only Central Asia, by the way. This perspective also works very good in Middle East or in Balkans as well. So Turkey, Turkey see that this connectivity is opportunity, is an advantage for Turkey because it connects markets, people, and politics, culture, etc. But it also creates a stabilization, what we lack of it, and actually in our close regions, and risk reduction in Central Asia, for example, or the Middle East, and the regional integration. That's the key paradigm in the last couple of years. Actually, Turkey's foreign policy, let me say, decision makers trying to push to all the regions. Okay, regional ownership, for example, in the Middle East. If you don't own your region, somebody owns. I mean, the external influence. That's very critical issue. Actually, the logic is very simple. More connectivity creates more interdependency, and more interdependency, less conflict, more stability. So this is a paradigm or a kind of matrix that we have to push, create together. So connectivity, not generally we are talking the moving of energy, moving of productions, goods, but it's about the reducing the incentives for conflict. And I mean, I'm not discussing the radicalization, sectarianism, terrorism, etc. But all this, the basis of talking or solving these problems as well. So I will not talk so much about the middle corridor, but I have to emphasize this. Previous panelists gave a lot of information and statistics regarding the Middle East, but it's simply a trade routes. Yes, we accept it, but it's not a geopolitical bloc. It shouldn't be a kind of let me say a player between the great powers. For example, it's not. It shouldn't be anti-China. It shouldn't be anti-Russia, and it shouldn't be anti-anyone, because it's the region's corridor. Region itself, together with the other, of course, regional countries, and they should push the inclusivity. For example, it should be multi-directional and from south, north, the others. So maybe we are not talking, but we have to talk to Iran and the other actors here. So it should be, the cooperative. So we can learn a lot of lessons, of course, from the other regions as well, and how we can build middle corridor. For example, the Middle East now is becoming another connectivity region. Somebody has provided some examples from Syria, for example. Yes, Saudi Arabia, and you mentioned about this. Saudi Arabia and Turkey signed a MOU for the time being, but in the future, hopefully, it will reach to a kind of agreement. And of course, after feasibility reports, we will see how it will be a kind of alternative roads to others. So, as I told you before, we are living in an age of competition of connectivity. There are IMAX, there are Iraqi development roads, middle corridor. There are multiple variations of this connectivity project. So we have to be part of it because we are in the middle of this discussion. And the key concept here is the economic integration, and it should be a positive agenda again. As I told you in the beginning of 2000, there was this momentum in the Turkey's foreign policy. Now we are taking it again. It's an advantage. And so, for example, in the Iranian issue, the problem was the Iran. If you ask the Iran why you're bombing your neighbors, because they're not only my neighbors, they have military bases there. So okay, military bases providing security, but now maybe ports, maybe roads, maybe new railways will be a kind of security provider for the next years. So we should think. I think this in that direction. I mean, from positive agenda and the ports, as I told you, railways and others, they can contribute more to regional security than the military bases. I mean, than the conflicts as well. Okay, there are also, uh, vulnerabilities. Maybe we have to talk them as well. Yes, connectivity is not let me say, a simple concept providing all the positive agendas or the peace, stability, but it also creates vulnerabilities. I mean, the risks we have to think, geopolitical competition simply. For example, IMEC is an India Middle East corridor and exclude somebody from these roads. I mean, it is a kind of anti-China. It's a new aligning we are seeing in that roads, and then of course geopolitical competition starts again. So what we should do? And sanctions, another important problem. There are a lot of countries under sanctions and unilateral sanctions of the United States. So it creates a kind of vulnerability in these connectivity issues. For example, Iran in sanctions. And cyber threats, maritime disruption, supply chain shocks, we are seeing them. And in previous, panelists, we have discussed them. So in conclusion, in my opinion, not only Eurasia, but Middle East and even Balkans is returning to the center of world politics through connectivity, and connectivity and is becoming a new concept that directly connect us, and resilience of it. I mean, we have to own it. Somebody is defining it, but we have to own it. We have to define the rules, we have regulate it, and discuss more. And Central Asia and Turkey, there is no mention it again, need to mention. We are partners, and we are natural partners, I mean. So connectivity should be, again, a kind of cooperation, not a competition between Turkey and Central Asia. Okay, thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Temiz, for your insightful remarks. Let's move to the Q&A session. We will get a couple of questions from our audience. Do you have any question? Please raise your hands if you have. Okay, I have a question for our speakers. As you know, transport and infrastructure connectivity has become as one of the central pillars of the cooperation, particularly to the middle corridor, as you mentioned. From your perspective, why has connectivity become such a strategic priority for Turkey and the other countries today? Hazel, would you like to be first? Or
I can start, but
okay, Miss Hal,
may start.
your microphone. Please. Mr. Yeah.
Okay, I think that connectivity is become very important for our times, because we live in the changing world. The world change very quick, and we should change with the world. And as said my colleague, the problem, the risks on the maritime shock point, we also all can see, from COVID to the lot of crises, they cut the supply chain. And we all see how many problems give to us. So in our opportunity, we should make the safely roads for our stability, for our prosperity, for our future, I think.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Temiz, would you like to comment?
Yes, I actually tried to answer to this question in my presentation, but let me add something. For example, it is a need. I mean, it is not an artificial development we are seeing now in the world. I mean, in 2013, for the first time, President Xi Jinping made it clear in Kazakhstan speech, and everybody, for the first time, they heard about the BRI, Belt and Road Initiative. At that time, I was, writing my PhD thesis at that time. I was looking for some sources about the Chinese foreign policy or Chinese, global politics. And then everybody was shocked. I'm shocked. So what is this? It's first time that China is, of course, first time. It's not the first time. After 1978, we have seen the China's, going out strategy. But it was a strategic, opening up. Is full-fledged. I mean, they signed bilateral agreement with more than, I think, I don't know the exact numbers, but probably more than 130 countries. They signed the MOUs and BRI. They invested a lot. So when you look at or ask to Chinese experts and politicians why you chose this path, okay, China was selling, yeah, and buying to the world. And since 2001, they become world member of World Trade Organization, and then it was going well. And China's and double digits, GDP increase during the 2008, 9. Oh, but the financial crisis in 2008, and we have felt the burden of this crisis in 2009, and then China reacted. So it's similar to this one. Why I'm saying, and I'm telling you the history of China, because it was a need. China was not any other option, has not, and they chose this path, and they strategically, created a perspective. Now the world, of course, in other countries, in other regions, we have also seen it as an opportunity to create this kind of connectivity. It's not a kind of negative issue, a negative development model. And as long as it creates, let me say, the prosperity, as long as these roads and infrastructure projects or other kind of investment ports and others, as long as they provides a kind of development in Greece, in Turkey, in Egypt, or in African countries. So these countries welcomed this Chinese investment. But and since 2013, after 13 years, and now we have to look at the results and what happened, and how this BRI are, how this connectivity uh, helped to the world. For example, is there any kind of development in the, let me say, the human development or African prosperity or in the conflict? So I think today we need this connectivity. Yes, it helped a lot. I think I don't uh, undermine the role of China's, BRI in the global investment, statistics. But if you look at the other investments of, yeah, U.S. and European, we are under the age of new connectivity, and everybody has pushing now the new connectivity projects, including Turkey, Central Asia, and others. So what I was saying in my presentation, so it is our own responsibility to create our connectivity. So we shouldn't allow the other, external parties in our region to determine, okay, which or kind of regulation we shall do, which kind of strategies we need to create this kind of connectivity. It's a matter of regional ownership. So it is what I'm trying to say is it's a natural phenomena. So we need it, the states need it, and we will see much more discussion and more concrete developments in that direction. And today probably we are discussing this issue for this reason. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Halimova, would you
Yes.
like to remind
Yes,
us? Yeah.
I think we have to really see that what's happening. There are many different other opportunities, like for Central Asia, the Northern Corridor is still there. We have less opportunities now with the southern part. The priority for Central Asia is actually to become a part of the global trade and actually produce the productions and actually be able to send it and actually make sure that using middle corridor is one of the opportunities. And while I was talking about resilience and ecosystem and logistics ecosystems and etc., it is like how middle corridor will become competitive with the other possibilities and opportunities different regions have. In this regard, Central Asia would actually invest in middle corridor in a way by actually choosing among many other opportunities that middle corridor could be actually more effectively used, especially connecting to Europe, as well as the back Europe to Central Asia as well. It's not only one way ahead. Connectivity matters. It's the world of connectivity. It's a time of connectivity. Connectivity will be changing the behavior of the bureaucracies and people as well. People would want to have their goods faster than they used to be. Any delays would be actually continuum creating this unsatisfaction. So that's why I think what other corridors will be providing, if they're going to be faster, people will be choosing the fastest and more reliable corridors. And I think the experience of the global gateway of EU and single market of EU, it's a very interesting phenomenon which could be applied for the thinking, not really application, but thinking of Central Asian states and many other neighbors, how they're going to create the governance structures that would be actually helping them to create common or single market for their goods and then be able to produce higher standards for their goods to be sold in the global market. So I think connectivity, as previous speaker said, it's a natural thing. We are living in the current world, but we are actually looking openly into the future. And we have to be really moving much more faster than 10 years ago.
Thank you, ma'am. Hazal?
Thank you. I had to think about the question more because in the past, people were suspicious about China's position and China's products, as we all remember. And it was not very away from today. But today, China triggered de-dollarization, and now the US is trying to dominate the region, especially the trade corridor and agreements with Armenia are the newest steps of our United States existence in the region. So China is strong enough to trigger United States also. So today connectivity among these regional states and regions, among these regions is a need, as Temiz Hocam said. Yeah, that was the point.
Thank you, Hazal. Our panel has ended in here. Thank you for all contribution and this very rich and insightful discussion. See you.
We now arrive at our fourth and final panel, investing in human capital, culture and education. Beyond trade and infrastructure, it is our people, our shared culture and our scholars who form the most enduring bridge between our nations. This panel will be moderated by Mr. Eldor Sobrionovic Tulyakov, Director of the Development Strategy Center. Our distinguished speakers are Professor Muhittin Ataman of Ankara Social Science University and the SETA Foundation, Mr. Abiyalev Timur Zamirbekovic, Deputy Director of the National Institute for Strategic Initiatives under the President of the Kyrgyz Republic, Associate Professor Murat Aslan of Hasan Kalyoncu University and the SETA Foundation, and Mr. Yashar Sarı of Ibn Haldun University. Mr. Tulyakov, the floor is yours.
I'd like to invite the speakers. Hello. Hello. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the important sessions, I believe, because whatever we have discussed is of course, depends on the quality of human capital to implement, to execute. That's why the human capital in cooperation is one of the most important directions that we are facing. And very important is, of course, culture and education, which also serve as a basis for people-to-people communication, because officials may talk about the reforms, may talk about connectivity, may talk about many other things, but people should understand what these policymakers are doing. So that's why soft diplomacy, track to diplomacy, as we say, is very much important. And I believe that's what we are going to discuss during our session. And without further ado, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Muhittin Ataman from Ankara Social Sciences University, SETA Foundation. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. It is a pleasure to speak about Central Asia. It is quite interesting for me to speak about Central Asia, since I am a Middle Eastern student of Middle Eastern politics overall, but I have been in academia for almost 30 years. I have worked at YÖK. I was general coordinator of international office at YÖK, so I focused quite a lot on internationalization of education here in Turkey, including educational relationship between Turkey and Central Asian countries. So today, in my presentation, I will try to focus first on the current situation of this bilateral relationship. That is, I will try to draw the picture of educational relations between Turkey and Central Asia. Politically, I will include Azerbaijan also, if Yashar Hoca and other experts of Central Asia allows me. So then I will try to make some suggestions, focusing on some expectations that what can be expected from this relationship. How can it can be improved in near future? So I will start with the relevant international organizations. There are certain international organizations established exclusively or indirectly focusing on educational relationship. Whenever we talk about the Turkic world or Turkey and Central Asia, naturally the umbrella organization is the Organization of Turkic States. It deals with all issues. As a matter of fact, it has many affiliated organizations which deals with specific issue areas. So we have to start with this naturally as an umbrella organization. The second one, it is quite related. All this, that is the following ones, are directly or indirectly related to educational relations. The first international organization that I want to mention is the Turkey Culture and Heritage Foundation, Türkiye Kültür ve Miras Vakfı, which was established 11 years ago. The other one is Turksoy. It is one of the oldest international organizations established by the Turkic states. It was established just immediately after the independence of the Turkic states in 93. The third one is International Turkic Academy. This is directly related to educational relationship. It mainly focuses on Turkology research. That is, any issue area, any sector, any field, academic field related to the Turkic people or the Turkey world. These two concepts also are somehow different in terms of their scope. They have published different journals, weeklies, etc. But unfortunately, all of this are discontinued. So, and the last one is Turkic Universities Union. As far as I know, I haven't checked the latest number, but the number of universities which are members of this union is over 170.
Yes.
It is quite critical, considering that the number of universities here in Turkey is over 200. That means not all universities, but many universities, or maybe more than half of Turkish universities are part of this union. The second subtitle is international universities. Whenever we talk about Turkey and Central Asian relations, that is educational relationship, two universities come to our mind. The first one is Manas University. Yaşar Hocam worked there for a long time,
6 years.
for 6 years. So it is based in Kazakhstan. In Kyrgyzstan. It's an international university. It attracts not only students from these two countries, but from the Turkic world. That's from other Central Asian republics. The second one is, the second international university is Ahmet Yesevi University, which is based in Turkistan, Kazakhstan. That is the city of Turkistan. This is also, established by two states. It's also quite one of the attractive destinations, especially for undergraduate students. It attracts students from a wide region. But recently, two other additional international universities were established. The first one, I think it's quite critical, because in terms of its scope, it's the most critical one, the most widespread one. It's the International Turkic States University, based in Tashkent. I think they have decided to start education next year, right? Maybe you may.
Yes. They already have their building.
Yes, they took over a building. So President Mirziyoyev provided all the necessary facilities, etc. So the university administration decided to initiate education by next year. It is quite critical because it's the university of the OTS, that is the Organization of Turkic States. So it's not only a bilateral one. It was established within the framework of the OTS. The second new university established, international university established, is Türkiye Azerbaijan University, based in Azerbaijan. So it is quite critical to consider these four universities and their role that they are expected to play in near future. By the way, whenever I have forgot one significant point, whenever I talked about international organizations, let's not forget that not all Turkic states are members of these international organizations. So it is one of the, unfortunately, disadvantages of this. For instance, the International Turkic Academy, only 4 members of the Turkic world are members of this, are part of this academy. So this is one of the disadvantages, handicaps of this. My third subtitle is about international students. I don't have the numbers of Turkish students studying in Central Asian states, countries, but I have, the number is overall is quite low. So this is what I have learned from the Higher Educational Council from YÖK. But I will give you the numbers of students coming from Central Asia to Turkey. So in top 20, there are 4 Turkic states. The second largest number of international students come from Azerbaijan. As a matter of fact, it's the first, but because of the special Syrian case, the number of students coming from Syria is higher than Azerbaijani students. But if we put this in parentheses, so it is clear that Azerbaijan is number 1. So, but according to official list, Azerbaijan is number 2. There are more than 40,000 Azerbaijani students studying in different Turkish universities. The third one is Turkmenistan. It's in third place. More than 30,000 university students study in Turkish universities. Number 6 is Kazakhstan. More than 12,000 Kazakhstani students study at Turkish universities. Uzbekistan is number 12. More than 6,000 Uzbekistan or Uzbek students study at Turkish universities. Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, the lower of the number of these 2 states are highly lower. 2,200 students coming from Kyrgyzstan and over 1,000 students coming from Tajikistan. So the lowest number of students are from Tajikistan. So as a region, we have prepared a report about internationalization of Turkish higher educational system. According to the data that they gathered, the Turkic world is number 2 in terms of regions, which is quite narrow. That is a smaller region compared with number 1, that is the Middle East or MENA region. Not only the Middle Eastern countries, but also North African countries are also included in this one. So it is quite critical to consider this. Overall, 27% of international students studying at Turkish universities are from Central Asia. So it is quite promising, as a matter of fact. The fourth title that unfortunately there is nothing much to talk about is Orhon Exchange Program. This was introduced by the Turkish government. It mainly focuses on the Turkic world, that is exchange of students and university professors, but it is functioning, but not at the expected level, unfortunately. The fifth one is a decision that was made within the framework of OTS. The members of the Turkic states organization, they have decided to establish a common alphabet, a Latin alphabet. I think this is quite critical, since it can be considered as a pretext for the improvement of educational relations between states. At this point, there are 4 states which accepted this and also use the Latin alphabet. The 5th state will be Kazakhstan. 3 years ago, they made the decision. According to the decision that was made in 23, by the year of 31st, they will change their alphabet. So they will replace Latin alphabet with the Cyrillic alphabet. So this common alphabet will include 34 letters, right? So any state can use, for instance, in Turkey, the number of letters that we use traditionally, interestingly enough, de facto it was increased, but officially it's 29. So from now on, even academicians here in Turkey may use these additional letters in near future. What to expect from this, or what to do? What steps needs to be taken in future? I have four different, expectations or proposals to make. The first one is tracking alumni. Unfortunately, we don't track what are the alumni do in their back home, in their home countries. The first group of students who came from Turkey was within the context of Great Student Project, which was initiated unilaterally by Turkey in 1992, immediately after the political independence of these states. But we don't know. We didn't track them, so we don't know what are they doing. That is in bureaucracy, in politics, in academia. Today, we have YTB or Turkiye scholarships that is brought students based on Turkiye scholarship here, and they graduate from Turkish universities. But then, unfortunately, we lost the track. We don't know what they are doing. So my personal proposal is, both at the national and university level, we have to establish alumni association, which will maintain this relationship between alumni and the university. The second is expansion of areas of education. Overall, we may divide this educational sector into two. One is official one, that is university education or postgraduate or postgraduate education. So this is what we mainly mean whenever we talk about education. But there is another dimension which is somehow, unfortunately, undermined, ignored in Turkey and Central Asian relations, which is occupational education. Based on certificates, midterm or short-term education programs, we may expect that, for instance, between security organizations, between armies, different security sectors, between police organizations, for instance, between different religious organizations, students can be exchanged. Search and rescue training teams can be established. So based on, many certificate programs can be organized by different ministries or some other sub-governmental bureaucratic institutions. The third one is we have to improve joint research activities, exchange of views, research between academia, development of common academic concepts. Unfortunately, overall, we lack this, especially after the recognition of this common alphabet. I personally expect that we have to introduce some common concepts that can be used in all states. This will further increase our cooperation. And the last one is we have to initiate a large-scale interaction process between political and academic elites. I think this is also missing in our educational relationship. So whenever we improve this dimension, we will see that it will be easier for us to speak the same language in academia as well as in politics. Thank you very much. This is the end of my presentation. And I thank you as the audience that will participate.
Thank you, Mr. Ataman, for a very detailed and comprehensive analysis in educational sphere. You touched upon almost all areas of cooperation, and very good suggestions were also addressed to give more of a systematic approach in working with the students, especially, let's say, who have gained their education in these international universities, in the universities with the help of Turkish scholarships, because they were educated to bring the societies closer, to bring the countries closer. So that's why if we keep track of where they are working, maybe whatever we have discussed previously today will be realized sooner. So inshallah, thank you. Now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Abilayev Timur, who is the Deputy Director of the National Institute of Strategic Studies under the President of the Republic of the Kyrgyz Republic. Please.
Assalamu alaikum. Kırgızстандан чоң салам. Түркияда өткөн форумда кыргызча түрк тилинде баштабаса болбойт го дейм. Баарыңарды салам айтам. So, dear colleagues, dear Mr. Wahabov, dear Mr. Mish, dear directors of think tanks from the Central Asia, dear experts, dear diplomats, dear member of the academic community. In my speech, I think it will be good if I will say about the general information. I will share with the general information about the relationship between Central Asian countries and with the Turkey. So it's a great honor for me, for us, to participate in this very important forum. On behalf of the National Institute for Strategic Initiatives under the President of the Kyrgyz Republic, I would like to thank to the organizers, to the International Institute for Central Asia, for being us together and for the excellent organization of this event. Unfortunately, we are participating on this forum only online, but on the next time, we hope that we will participate on the offline format. Today, we meet in Ankara, a city that plays an important role in relations in regional and international affairs. It's especially meaningful that the first institution think tank forum, Central Asia Turkey, is being held here. We believe that this forum will become a regular platform for dialogue, for cooperation, and for the exchange of new ideas. In generally, Kyrgyzstan and Turkey share strong historical, cultural, and linguistic ties. Our countries also share common goals, common vision for the regional development and stability. Turkey was one of the first country to recognize the independence of all of the Central Asian countries in 1991, and we're proud of this. Since then, our cooperation has extended and growing in many areas, including politics, trade, investment, education, and culture. Today, Turkey is one of the key economic partners of Central Asia. Today we are talking in this session about the other topic, but we have in my topic, I would like to say about the economic aspect also. Between trade between Turkey and the countries of our region is growing very fast, from $6 billion to $15 billion between last 7 years. More than 7,000 Turkish companies are operating across Central Asia, and our country by 2030 is to increase trade between our countries to $30 billion. These numbers reflect not only economic growth, but also growing trust, strong relationship between our countries, and close connection between our countries. At the same time, our region faces many new challenges. Challenges in the global political environment, potential over transport roads, technological development, energy transformation, critical minerals, and the development of human capital require deeper analysis and closer cooperation. This is why we are the creator of this forum, and we know that this forum is both timely and important. Think tank plays in our country a key role in supporting decision making. So our responsibility is not only to study current trends and challenges, but also to provide critical and political recommendation to help our governments and to make effective policies. The National Institute for Strategic Initiatives of the Kyrgyz Republic is ready to actively contribute to this work. As already mentioned, Mr. Ataman before speaker, we are interested in contributing joint research, exchanging experience and analytical methods, and developing common approaches to key regional issue together with our partners from Turkey and with the Central Asian countries. So, in conclusion, dear colleagues, I wish all participants productive discussions, new ideas, and practical results that will contribute to the development of our countries and in our region. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Abilayev, for your thoughts, for your suggestions. We really much appreciate it. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to give the floor to our friend and co-organizer, Murat Aslan, from SETA, from Hasan Kolyoncu University, to share with his thoughts. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Actually, Professor Ataman and our guest from Kyrgyzstan briefly framed all the issue. But once you check the title, it's Education, Culture, and Human Capital. But I have to, I mean, it's an hypothesis, by the way. I have to, first of all, claim that for the education, as I see from the explanation of Professor Ataman, there must be institutional arrangements further than the current ones, like orphan arrangement, for instance, maybe more students on a firm basis. Regarding culture, that's my conclusion right after I visit Uzbekistan. I have been there twice. It's what the culture is over there already existing and shared, but there is a lacking consciousness between the publics. Exactly, they do not know about each other. Let me give you a clear example for this. When I started talking in my own accent in Turkish, my Uzbek brothers over there did not understand me. But right after we started talking by an accent of our daily lives, we started. And during the flight, my seatmate was a lady from Uzbekistan, and think that we had a great discussion on psychology. So that means we don't have any problem in terms of cultural language, but we have to get rid of what? The lacking consciousness. Another issue is human capital. I think that this is the area that we have to push more and more and more, because if you have the relations like state-to-state relations, I know that organization of Turkic states started a fresh wave of engaging communities by specific programs. Well, then there's something missing. Maybe a privileged status quo for the citizens of all Turkic states maybe on the agenda, and organization of Turkic states should be the main driver for this. So in this sense, what I suggest, there must be a regulation, especially for education. Culture should be encouraged, and human capital, well, there must be a promotion from all sides. So one advantage is very clear. Between the states with Turkic origin, there's no enmity. All states are committed to cooperate, coordinate, integrate, and also they have a positive agenda. If you go and check Europe with European Union culture right now, please, it's different. Why? Germans and French people are still competing in terms of culture. So this is an advantage for the countries and also communities. So what should be done? Very clear, concise. I hope it's precise. First of all, this Orkun exchange program should be expanded immediately with more budgeting and more institutionalization. Second thing, education and economy should complement each other. If economy, industry is lacking behind, then education is nonsense and vice versa. So what I believe is that the industries of respective countries, economies of respective countries require a well-coordinated educational system. For instance, lawyer, our great assistant today, Gökçe, is a lawyer and had the education in Germany, and think that she can't have a license in Turkey as far as she can't graduate from a Turkish law faculty or at least some examinations, right? So for the Turkic states, I think we should just question such sort of issues. I mean, for sure that there are different laws, but at least we can approach some fields. Technology is another field I have to mention, maybe integrating education, culture, and human capital. First of all countries have a different model, no problem. But we have to discover exactly how to integrate these models, maybe with the help of digital platforms, and sometimes sharing resources and also the burdens. And alphabet, for instance, is a great area that we can delve, especially to have all these countries speak the same accent or at least understand each other. And it's clear that we need time for this. Another one is maybe as an extension of technology, digital libraries and catalogs, because if we don't unite our libraries in each country, I mean, we have a great one here in Ankara, well, then the researchers, university students cannot search, but just limited by their country's respective database. Another issue is entertainment industry. I'm not talking about, soap operas. I am confident that Turkish soap operas are being circulated in many countries. But if you watch a movie from Kyrgyzstan or Uzbekistan, well, it does have a great impact on your thinking. So this entertainment industry may be provoked to produce joint productions. So it will be one effective way. For sure, there may be some youth exchange programs, but I'm much more dedicated to sports. Why? Turkey is a member of European Football League, right? Do we have a league for football clubs? I'm not a fan of football. I hate it, by the way, but people consume it. So do we have a football league covering the overall Turkic states or Central Asian states? No. Why not? Why not? Maybe a tournament in every 2 or 3 years, it may be a good idea. What about basketball or volleyball or others? Or other ethnic sports, I mean, ancient sports. That's also an important issue. Maybe we will face a competition at the very initial terms, but it will expand the consciousness. And finally, we have to be aware of the relative communities, not only the states in Central Asia together with Turkey. For instance, once you go to Mongolia, you can see a similar language, similar culture. Korean language is within the same family of Turkic language. Japan does have similarities. What about Tatars? So I think we should discover exactly the relative communities and include the programs that currently, Turkey does have a great directorate here in Ankara and providing Turkey a scholarship, especially to these relative communities. And the title says Turkic States and Relative Communities Directorate. So we may expand it maybe under the organization of Turkic States as a initial step. And to achieve all this stuff, I believe there are three things should be achieved: standardization, calibration, and certification. So then we can talk how to proceed more efficiently, I believe. So let me stop here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Aslan, for very detailed information you shared. Of course, one of the ideas you gave was about the education. So, of course, we need to think further about streamlining the norms or regulations, let's say, to acknowledge educational degrees, titles. Yeah, in that sense, of course, we need to think of the quality of education. It's one of the most challenges. So, if we work on the quality of on the quality of education, then it will be easier to unite, I believe, the Turkish states to acknowledge those degrees. So, and you also talked about the standardizations. It gave a solution to all those issues that you mentioned. Now, dear ladies and gentlemen, I would like to give the floor to Professor Yashar Sari from the Ibn Khaldun University. Please, the floor is yours. Yes, please.
All day we had different panels. I'm the last speaker, so I feel people may be tired. But and already previous speakers talk about the different issues. Some of them I was planning to talk, but I will not touch them. First, I would like to thank Murat Aslan organizing these events, and also the institution which is contributing this forum. My part, I will also talk about the soft power, human capital, culture, and educational part. But I will separate this part is the two. One is the Turkey's bilateral relation with Uzbekistan. The other is the more multilateral level. Those especially taking the organization of Turkic state and the other affiliated organization, what they are doing in the educational field and what we expect. So as international relation students, we talk about the soft power. And today, at the beginning, our panelists mainly talk about the economic issues. This is the more material interest, more related hard power we can consider with the security together. Soft power is the kind of long-term, without coercion, making the other side to attract your activities, and in that sense. And the soft power has the three main pillars. One is the culture itself, which we can connect that one common identity, having or sharing the certain identity and norms. The other is the educational area, and the last one is maybe a combination of that political and the social values with sharing with the others. So
why this education is important or the culture is important? Because we're giving this strategic legitimacy and the influence without using the force. That's the important. When we looking at the Turkey, we can see different institutions playing actively and functionally playing role in this field. One is the we call the YTB, is the Turks abroad and relatives dealing with the providing scholarships. Until this time, over 350,000 people benefited from these scholarships in different parts of the world. And the second is to TİKA. This is Turkish development agency providing education and cultural programs and supporting the infrastructure and so on. The other one is the Yunus Emre Institute, which is the teaching the Turkish Anatolian Turkish language, and recently Uzbekistan also will open, but some Turkestan countries and the Central Asia, sometimes we call, is also open the Mare Foundation schools. So these are the what we see. What kind of bilateral relation in this field between Turkey and Uzbekistan? Already some of them is the Muhittin Hocam mentioned. Muhittin Hocam, my ustaz from the university where we work together in the same department. The first is to yes, there are several universities functional. Two of them is the open 1990s Kyrgyz Turkish Manas universities in Bishkek, Ahmet Yesevi universities in Turkestan. These are the more classical university structure you can see. Different departments, they have engineering department, they have other departments. Recently, two universities also established. By the way, these two universities plus recently opened these two universities, Türkiye Azerbaijan University, International Turkic State University in Tashkent. They have the different concept. Their concept is all four is the joint venture between Turkey, Azerbaijan, Turkey, Uzbekistan, Turkey, Kazakhstan, Turkey, Kyrgyzstan. So these two currently university open are more concentrated on the engineering. I mean, each Turkish university having the responsibility. For example, Istanbul Teknik University responsible to opening the one engineering department, Hacettepe food engineering, and so on. So this kind of things, responsibility giving the different well-known, well-established state universities to helping the opening the department on that countries. So that is important. The second area is the more the multilateral area, but that area is the important. Why? Already there's organization of Turkish state. This idea started from early 1990s when the summit, leaders summit started. Later, they established different organizations. Turksoy, one of them, Muhittin Hocam mentioned very early open. By the way, when 1990s, Tataristan, Choisistan, Bashkortostan were member of the Turksoy, but later Putin took them out from this organization. So it's not only state, the sovereign state, but also autonomous republics under the Russian Federation were part of that one. So this multilateral relation, we need to look to 2040 Turkic world vision. When we're looking at this vision, what we see the 8 different subtitle mentioning about the goal vision, the goal which the member state wants to reach, and 8 different title. 2 of them is the most important, more can be reachable. One is the related economy. The other is the people to people. It means that education, culture, civil society organizations goal is there. So when we're looking at this document, we see that this document is mentioning about the cooperation. But the problem is what kind of cooperation? What is the goal of this organization, OTS? Is to play role of the coordinative organization, or this organization is the play role to integration in the future. So the different scholars answering this question differently. As what we see, there is no real the agreement among the states to what kind of goal can this organization play. So that is but if you look the 2040 World Vision, they are talking about specifically they are using integrative goal. But when you looking at details, then you see that different story. So the people-to-people educational area is important. One is the Muhittin Hocam mentioned about the Orhun Exchange Program. Long time Orhun Exchange Program is depends on the universities which is cooperating. I mean, if one university is sending students to another country and another university need to deal with the students' problem, cost, and so on. But recently, just this month, I mean, several days ago, the ministers, educational ministries, they met in Turkestan with the organization of Turkish state officials, and they established a kind of office under the organization of the Turkish states to dealing this Orhun program. And also the Azerbaijan's government, President Ilham Aliyev, provided $1 million to making this exchange. So the organization office will take this money and they share this money equally the universities which are the part of the Turkish Universities Union. By the way, Turkish Universities Union, as Muhittin Hocam mentioned, has over 170 members, and currently Tashkent International University, private university, is the leading this universities union. So every 2 years, different universities taking. Before Tashkent International University, Azerbaijan State Economy University was dealing that one. Okay, let me conclude my speech with what we are doing in our center under the Ibn Haldun University. We have the Center of the Eurasian Studies, mainly with dealing with the Turkic world. One goal is we are already working our partner universities, different Turkic world. One of them is the World Economy and Diplomacy University in Tashkent. The other is the Ada University in Baku, Nazarbayev University in Astana. We are trying to establish a joint master program of the Turkic World Studies program. So students, one semester Istanbul, one semester in Baku, one semester Tashkent, one semester Astana. So they will be a real Turkic world expert. The other is last year we did the Orhun exchange programs related workshop, and deciding certain things together with the different universities representatives, and submitting the officials to implement that one, which is we succeeded. At least they secured the $1 million to providing these scholarships for exchange students and the staff. The other one is this year we are organizing the third one is the Turkic World Summer Forum, inviting master, PhD, and academicians from different Turkic world, around 130 of them, and the 40 speakers, totally over 170 experts talking about the different issues. Those issues related this the vision, Turkic world vision. So there, I mean, we have the over 1,000 applicants and over 350 of them from Uzbekistan. Those are the master students, PhD students who prepared their CV and the motivation letter in English to attend this, apply this program. So this program can be extended to other universities too. The last point, completing my speech, as Muhittin Hoca, I will also make a suggestion. The first thing is to the Turkic world can establish a kind of Peace Corps volunteers, which is American having, to sending the university students to, for example, Uzbekistan, but not staying in Tashkent, going Andijan, or the Kyrgyzstan, going to Talas, Amanbaya village, and staying there, learning language, socializing, establishing network. So the strong bond established that way. And if you look at the American scholars who are experts of Central Asia, almost all of them had this experience. Unfortunately, even though we have universities there, still in Turkey, the number of the Central Asian experts is low. Thank you for listening me.
Thank you very much, Professor Yaşar. Sari, you also raised lots of important issues with regard to the topic of our panel. So, ladies and gentlemen, our speakers, distinguished speakers, talked about the education, human capital, the importance of it. And as I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the session, these areas are essential to realize all those political agreements that our leaders, our government institutions have reached. In terms of course, based on the topic of the session, I should say in the end that cultural issues are also very important, because all of our countries are rich in culture, in tradition, and of course the values that we share are also very similar. So we don't need much effort to understand each other by tradition, by culture. However, of course, we need to do more to preserve those richness in culture, in of course all the history that we have. We need to work further to translate this in a simple way to ordinary people. So we need to strengthen people to people. We need to strengthen people to people connections, so that they are they easily understand what the policymakers are doing. So I would like to thank the distinguished speakers once again for their active participation, for their proposals, and I think this is the last session, and maybe you have something to say, or you? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Now the session is over.
Distinguished guests, this brings our public sessions to a close. On behalf of the SETA Foundation, the International Institute for Central